Yo, my name is Tommy. Some people call me Pete, and welcome to the first recorded episode of a series called Wife Mons, where I play competitive Pokemon battles in either a ranked or a tournament setting, using niche, underused, or just straight up bad Pokemon that my partner likes and tells me to do the challenge with. In today's episode, we're going to be featuring AURORUS, so without further ado, let's get started. I like to start these off by giving a brief overview of the team I've built for the challenge, and to do so, we first got to start with the feature mon herself. Now, according to current usage stats, you would have to queue an average of 417 matches in Pokemon Champions before you encountered a single Aurorus. And so when we're dealing with usage that low, I try to ask myself, what is it that is making people not use this Pokemon? And for starters, it probably has to do with the fact that it has like the worst defensive typing imaginable in the metagame. Rock and Ice are not only bad individual defensive types, but combine to give Aurora's two glaring 4 times weaknesses to fighting and steel, respectively, alongside other extremely common weaknesses to things like water, grass, ground, and rock. And what this means is that it's often quite difficult to keep Auroras alive, and that it will almost always be facing down at least one opponent who can hit it for super effective damage, but to be honest, it's usually both of them. Um, it doesn't really get any better with the rest of the stats or anything like that. Aurorus is also extremely slow, underspeeding, common defensive pieces like Incineroar, Grimmsnarl, Farigiraf, Sinistcha, and frankly has an underwhelming offensive stat as well, capping out at 99 special attack, where for context, only 2 of the top 30 most used mons in the metagame have a lower primary offensive stat than that, with those being Whimsicott, who obviously offers, significant utility with Prankster speed control, Encore pressure, and Pelipper, who can boost its damage output with the rain that it enables itself. All that said, how am I going to make this thing put in work? Well, the good news is that Aurorus actually has pretty phenomenal offensive typing coverage into a lot of common Pokemon. The combination of Blizzard, Freeze Dry, Earth Power, and Ancient Power hits roughly 70% of this current metagame for super effective damage, and with the Life Orb item providing a much needed power boost, Aurorus can actually pressure a one-hit knockout onto a lot of common threats. This doesn't necessarily solve our speed issue, though, and I did just name 4 attacking moves, meaning we'd have to give up the ability to protect if we wanted to actually run all 4 of them. That's sort of where our next Pokemon and Farigiraf can come into play. Frig can not only set up Trick Room, enabling slow Pokemon to move before fast ones for 4 turns, but his ability Armor Tail stops opponents from using priority attacks to skirt that new turn order, or from just clicking Fake Out and double attacking the Aurorus and knocking it out before it gets the chance to move. With the Colbur Berry canceling out Farigiraf's only real weakness, since nobody uses bug types, this guy can pretty reliably twist the dimensions and then even further amplify Aurorus' damage output with Helping Hand, because to be frank, if it's not super effective, and even sometimes when it is, Aurorus is going to need that handy. They wanted some fake out support to help Farigiraf set up that Trick Room, and ultimately decided that Mega Kangaskhan would fit nicely in this slot. The Scrappy ability pre-Mega Evolution is nice to prevent Intimidate from opposing Incineroar and Staraptor, but more importantly, it allows us to click Trick Room, or excuse me, Fake Out, into Ghost types who would otherwise threaten to deny our Trick Room, like a Life Orb Basculegion, who can threaten a one-hit knockout on Farigiraf and Rain, for example, as well as like Taunt, Annihilate, and Imprison Sinistcha, who would just prevent the button altogether. Ultimately, it's a crutch that I decided I'd need if I wanted to make uh, Aurorus work. We can obviously Mega Evolve to, pull out our child to help us fight our battles for us if we need to boost our damage output. And Hammer Arm is nice for smoking opposing King Gambit if they're not Choppleberry, as well as dropping our speed so we can outpace opposing slow Pokemon who would, be faster than us in Trick Room, like Incineroar and the like. Now, at this point, not a single Pokemon on my team can protect. And so I wanted someone who could switch in and tank a hit that would otherwise threaten, either Aurorus or Kangaskhan, and give us some momentum and punish overly aggressive plays. And so since both Aurorus and Kangaskhan are glaringly weak to fighting, a ghost type, felt nice in this slot. And ultimately Basculegion's ability to also resist water and steel for Aurorus made it seem like the go-to option. Plus that guy's just kind of broken. With this inclusion, we finally have like a somewhat cohesive game plan appearing with the team, where we can use Kangaskhan to help Farigiraf set up an early game Trick Room, trade with Kang and Aurorus in the mid game while the Trick Room is up, and then use Basculegion in the end game to clean up with a boosted Last Respects after some allies have fainted. Agility is not a common move on Basculegion at all, at least to my knowledge, but I like it on this team. We can use it to punish a passive play our opponent's protecting to stall out at the end of Trick Room, where we can, double our speed as they do that and then maintain its speed advantage after the Trick Room expires. While Basculegion is a great defensive switch-in for a threatened Aurorus in a lot of situations, it didn't exactly help against the most common steel types in the format, in King Gambit, who would just threaten to knock it out with Kowtow Cleave the very next turn, or a Tralodon, who would often get a bunch of stamina boosts and become unkillable to a Basculegion without critting, while also just threatening with an Electro Shot if we ever lost weather control. Choppleberry King Gambit in particular felt really annoying, as that defensive item would allow it to survive like a 4 times super effective Hammer Arm from Kangaskhan, and it could just put in a lot of work with Kowtow Cleave and Iron Head. Um, to cover for these, I considered using Mega Camerupt, who would obviously threaten a one-hit knockout on both with Earth Power or Heat Wave in King Gambit's case, but I was scared away by its shared weakness to water and ground, and ultimately landed on Hisuian Decidueye as an option to fill this slot. With the Scope Lens item, both of Decidueye's stab attacks and Leaf Blade and Triple Arrows have a 50% chance to critical hit, and a crit Triple Arrows one-hit knock picks up a one-hit knockout on even Choppleberry King Gambit most of the time, as well as Artralodon through any of its stamina boosts. These crits have some other applications as well. Coil Milotic and like opposing screens from Grimmsnarl come to mind. And Decidueye resists the other half of Aurorus' weaknesses that Basculegion doesn't, while also resisting most of Basculegion's weaknesses himself. And so the three form a really nice defensive triangle, which felt like a nice bonus. Tailwind is here for a similar reason as Agility on Basculegion to hopefully punish passive play at the end of Trick Room and allow our mons to maintain a speed advantage if people protect to stall us out. With this 5, the team felt pretty cohesive and to be honest, about as strong as a Wifemon's team can into most of the matchups I was facing in practice. Frigoraph Mirrors felt a little bit volatile though, especially if they carried Imprison, but even if they didn't, just the mind game of do I click Trick Room when they could also click Trick Room and reverse me was something I wanted to avoid if it was at all possible. A fast taunt user could help me prevent Imprison or Trick Room from opposing Frigoraph, as well as like taunt from opposing Zarina, who I can't fake out with Kangaskhan either. But just a taunt user alone didn't feel like it would do enough to warrant a whole team slot. Specifically, I wanted one that could also threaten to outspeed in one shot things like Charizard or Sylveon, specifically because of those variants of Aerozard that carry a Farigiraf, who can either lead Farigiraf to play the mind game with you on turn 1, or just lead like Zard Garchomp and try to double attack and knock you out to deny the Trick Room. And you can't really click Fake Out into those teams safely, because what if they just switch in the Farig and reverse you the next turn? Insert Mousehold, who I thought could be okay in this slot. Obviously, Taunt can do what we've talked about, but Technician and Population Bomb can, outspeed in one shot most Charizard and can honestly kind of run away with the game against opposing hard Trick Room teams if they just let me taunt them on turn 1 and don't kill the mouse and then let it, pop bomb everything. This idea can work in theory. Truthfully, I stopped getting hard Trick Room matchups in practice after adding it to the team. So we'll see if it puts in some work today and see if it ended up being the right call. So how to use the team? Well, let's be honest, this is a Trick Room composition. Lead Frigoraph plus a normal type, click Trick Room, and try to knock out your opponent. Click Agility or Tailwind on the last turn of Trick Room, and that's about it. Let's get into some games. Okay, I've got a rental code up on screen for anybody who might be interested in trying out the team in-game directly. Here's also a flash of the stats in case it gets deleted. I don't usually delete them super quickly, but if anyone wanted to use it in Paste or on Showdown or anything like that, here are my spreads. If anyone's interested in an explanation of specifically what the spreads do, I'm happy to drop that. Just let me know in the comments below. And let's get into some games. Let's go battle. Reasonably new ranked season. It's only been a handful of days. We grinded up Master Ball to get some higher quality games for you guys, and we will see what we get. Opponent is Andy. A little damage calculator here. All right, Sneasler, Kangaskhan, Floette, Dragonite, it's Incin, and Sinishta. So it looks like sort of protect the president with Floette and a billion fake out guys. Possibly Mega Kangaskhan and Mega Dragonite as well. Less worried about those as setup options historically, though I don't want to count anything out. Okay. Their speed floor is going to be their Incineroar, who's likely running some speed investment, as well as the Sinishta, who I should note is going to be faster than something like my Basculegion in Trick Room. Their speed ceiling will be the Sneasler, who would outspeed and threaten my Decidueye in Tailwind in an end game, but otherwise will be okay. I don't see any reason not to go Kangaskhan Farig here. And then I think, as far as floors go, I have to floor under Incin, so we're going to go AURORUS. It's also just generally good. Spread damage, good into a couple of have a couple of ice weeks. And then as far as the last mon goes, I feel like I want this mon to be able to outspeed a Sneasler after Trick Room expires, so we're going to go Vascular Legion. This ends up sort of being our default 4 into a lot of matchups. But they've got actually good Pokemon, so let's see if we can win this. They're on a 3-win streak, significantly higher rating than us, so this would be a lot of points if we get the dub. Let's see, Dragonite Sneasler, interesting. We'll see if they Mega Evolve Dragonite right away. That should let us know if there happens to be a Floette in the back. Okay. We want to respect the possibility of Inner Focus on Dragonite, so I think faking out that Mon is probably a mistake. They could have something like Whirlwind, which would be not my favorite thing in the world. It feels like it's probably pretty niche to cover for, though. They do have Intimidate and a Ghost type, so I'm not going to Mega Evolve. I'm just going to click Fake Out into the Sneasler, break a potential Focus Sash, and go for Trick Room. And if they're Whirlwind, then, you know, good on them. Big damage onto the Sneasler. They just low kick us. So glad we didn't overread, overcomplicate things there. Life Orb Dragonite, so it was Inner Focused. We were correct. Come on, go for Fake Out into that. Trick Room goes up. Beautiful. We could obviously go for Psychic Fangs into the Sneasler. They could potentially Protect. They sometimes don't run Protect on these teams, though. They're sometimes Quick Guard. Their switch in to a Psychic Fangs would be the Incineroar. So I think I'm reasonably happy to double the Sneasler slot. Because we just get a free switch in into AURORUS if they, like, the worst case scenario there is they Protect and KO my Kangaskhan. But then we just get a free AURORUS switch and knock out the Dragonite the next turn. So I'm happy to go for this. This is likely Incineroar. We don't Mega Evolve to get rid of the Intimidate. Finishta comes in. Isn't great for us. Our low kick will be wasted. Or our Hammer Arm will be wasted, rather. Oh, we didn't Mega Evolve. I forgot. So we're actually just going to get a little bit more chip damage into Finishta. They low kick us. Beautiful. This is a juicy AURORUS board. Let's go! The feature mod! Sneasler can't switch in. It will die. Dragonite dies. Sinishta dies. Oh my goodness. I don't even know if we need the Helping Hand. Obviously, Helping Hand would give us more damage into any non-Sneasler switch-in. But I think it's... Oh no, because Incin will just be faster than us. With Vascular Legion if we switched in. So I do think the correct play here is to just go for Help and then Blizzard. I had considered switching in Bask to potentially position a Punish to an instant switch in. But he would just hit us with, you know, the Dark move the next turn. It's Kang. Okay. It's going to be Mega Kangaskhan. This will not appreciate a Helping Hand Blizzard by any stretch of the imagination. Sinister Protects, totally fine. This should be 60-75% into Kangaskhan. I know the last now. It's not Floette, which is fascinating, into my team with Hero Fairy Resists. Beautiful damage. A lot of times Mega Kangs don't even run Protect, so this will be quite interesting. Everything on the board dies to Blizzard, so I think I'm happy to go for Blizzard. And... I just don't care about outspeeding stuff. I think I'm just gonna Blizzard and like not let them risk. I'm gonna Helping Hand Blizzard. I was thinking about potentially switching into Vascular Legion so that next turn I can Agility on like a double Protect on the last turn of Trick Room, but I don't want to give them an opening to like read that play and fake out my AURORUS and potentially screw things up. And I just think that everything on the board's a physical attacker except for Sinishta, which just protected. And Vascular Legion is super physically bulky, and like Sneasler will never beat it, for example. So this play seems fine to me. Blizzard comes out, obviously picks up the double knockout here. And they just forfeit. Nice. Good games. Like I said, a lot of times Kangaskhan's don't run Protect. Obviously, we knew the Dragonite had low kick, so if they did have protect, they could double protect and then threaten a low kick into my AURORUS the next turn. But they just had 0 damage on Farigiraf, right? And so I just don't see a world where they can ever prevent a second Trick Room. And then I obviously had the ability to potentially switch in Vascu Legion for a low kick or something like that. So, good game. And let's get another one. Some start for the video. The thumbnail Mons putting in work on that board state. It looks like we're on a little win streak from our grind ups. See if we can keep it going. Battle against Piez. Okay. Alakazam, Delphox, Golden Go, Sylveon, Garchomp, and Aerodactyl. So I guess it's technically 4 potential Mega Evolutions. I would expect Delphox to be Mega Evolution. Garchomp less so on this team. I don't see sand or anything, so I don't see any reason for it to be a Mega Garchomp. It could be Mega Alakazam as well as Mega Aerodactyl. Their speed floor is Sylveon, who I will need to cover for with AURORUS, and their ceiling is way up there with like Alakazam and Delphox and Aerodactyl. They're just super, super, super quick. Okay. Our Basque is specifically EV to outspeed Max Speed Mega Delphox at +2. So I think this is going to be another game of default 4, right? No reason not to go Kangaskhan Farigiraf. They could be Inner Focus Taunt on the Alakazam, which would be annoying. But I don't know that that's... I haven't fought an Alakazam, so I don't know that that's super likely. If that were the case, we're supposed to go Mouse Hold, but I think we're going to stick with our guns here and go these 4. Items-wise, it's definitely Mega Stone on Delphox, could be Fairy Feather, or a boosting item on Sylveon, maybe Life Orb on Garchomp, maybe Scarf. Golden Go could be Scarfed as well. I think one of those is Scarfed and one of them is Life Orb. And then Sash is either going to be on the Arrow or the Alakazam. So let's see what the lead is. I'm honestly a little bit scared of like an Alakazam because they could be inner focus Taunt, they could be inner focus Imprison. Vega Aerodactyl. Golden Go Aerodactyl. Okay, that's fine. So Gold can go for Nasty Plot or Sub, which is what they like to do a lot of times on these boards. But Arrow could have both Taunt and Rock Slide, which would prevent the Trick Room altogether. I'm a little more scared of Sub than I am Nasty Plot on Golden Go. So hope it's not Sub. But I'm happy to not Mega Evolve so that I can Hammer Arm Gold next turn. I'm happy to just go for Fake Out into Arrow, break a potential Focus Sash, and then prevent like a Rock Slide flinch and get our Trick Room. Prayer comes out. If it's sashed, it's broken. It didn't Mega right away, which makes me think that it... Yeah, just plot. That's fine. Makes me think there's probably a different Mega in the back. Likely Delphox. Could potentially be Alakazam. Trick Room goes up. If Golden Go was like the super bulky ones from the Cybertron videos, then we might actually be faster than Kangaskhan on this turn. I'm actually curious if we pick up the knockout with a non-Mega Hammer Arm into Golden Go. I would probably doubt it. We do if we Helping Hand. Or it's a roll if we Helping Hand. I think I'm happy to just not Helping Hand. I think I'm happy to just split damage here. Go for Hammer Arm there. I don't need more damage into this guy, so I'm just going to Psychic Fangs into the Aerodactyl to prevent potentially like a Garchomp switching in on a Thunderbolt. It's Delphox, so I should have Thunderbolted. That's okay. We are looking at probably Mega Delphox. Gold to go protect. So happy we didn't go for the Helping Hand play into that guy. Psychic Fangs comes out. Does a little bit into Delphox. And Hammer goes into it. But they are Life Orb. They would just die. I'm actually curious if I Mega Evolve Sucker Punch this Golden Go. He would go down. And I've not Mega'd. I'm curious about Mega Evolve Helping Hand Sucker Punch on this play. We'll go for that. Golden Go doesn't switch. They could plot again, which would not be good. Fox Mega Evolves. I'd expect Protect. They should be threatened by a double edge here. Helping Hand comes out. We really want to see Sucker Punch come out. Please don't Nasty Plot again. Kind of a risky play I've gone for here. Okay, this does come out, and it probably KOs. Nice. That was not guaranteed. So happy to get the roll there, depending on how bulky they are. Delphox did not protect, so they're going to get an attack off, which is okay. That works. There's some chip on Delphox, which would mean it might just be straight up in range of a regular old double edge. And we see Garchomp come out. Okay. Going into Mega Delphox. This should absolutely be in range of just a straight up double edge. We have 2 turns of Trick Room left. So I double edge there, they protect and EQ. I don't want damage on Garchomp, I think. I think they're much less likely to protect the Garchomp. And then I can go Basculegion on the switch. Basically, I want Basculegion on the board because I want to cover... I want the ability to go for agility on the last turn of Trick Room if they try to protect next turn. So that's great damage into Garchomp. We'll take a ton of rough skin damage, and I'd actually not be upset if Kangaskhan goes down here. EQ Heat Wave makes some sense to me if they're planning on double protecting next turn. Basculegion super physically bulky, and then we'll obviously resist the Heat Wave. Before. This is fun. So, we have a half health Farigiraf in the back. Garchomp's at 11%. I'm going to go AURORUS, and we have to make a call. The question becomes, they have not protected at all. Well, they protected the Golden Go, but they are threatened by Blizzard Last Respects. They could double protect on our last turn of Trick Room. So it's literally just a 50-50 of... Because Blizzard will knock out the Garchomp if they don't protect. It's just a matter of do they protect Delphox or not. Because if they get the read right and don't protect and Psychic my Basculegion and protect Garchomp, then I think the game is immediately over. But if they go for a double protect, trying to stall out Trick Room, then all of a sudden we're just faster than everything with Basculegion and in a really good spot. Enough. I don't go for the protect. The crit obviously does not matter on the Garchomp. Maybe they go for Heat Waves. No, they're for sure just hitting my Basculegion. That is tough. If I would have just last respected, the game is just over on the spot. That's super tough. Foul play. Huh? Fascinating move choice on the Delphox there. Okay. I think that's GG. Because I don't think... Because I don't think I can stop them from... Well, maybe if they're Nasty Plot foul play... Then they're forced to go for a Heat Wave into me. I don't have Protect. I guess I'm supposed to Ancient... Maybe they don't... I don't know. Maybe they don't have Psychic if they have Foul Play. They're like Nasty Plot, Foul Play, Heat Wave, Protect. And then they like can miss a Heat Wave into AURORUS. And then I can Ancient Power KO them. And then go for a Trick Room. We'll give it a shot. Rock Slide comes out. We can obviously flinch, and a flinch on either Pokemon I think is game over. They Foul Play Farigiraf. Farigiraf lives. Oh my goodness. Why would they just have Psychic? It would have KO'd Basculegion all the same. Like, I'm thinking in the metagame, like, you have Foul Play for what? Basculegion, maybe like Mega Metagross? But you have Heat Wave for that, and you have Psychic for Basculegion, which would have KO'd in that spot. No flinch on Farigiraf? Okay, it's not technically over, because they could just flinch me indefinitely. We'll go for Freeze Dry and Trick Room in case they miss the Rock Slide. Okay, they could crit, they could flinch my AURORUS. Rock Slide comes out, they connect with both. Farigiraf goes down, AURORUS. Please don't flinch AURORUS. The crit on Frig doesn't matter at all. AURORUS, please. Yes! I don't know how we managed to win that one. And they didn't protect the entire time with Delphox, so I have no idea. I would assume that last move is Psychic. I don't know. I don't know. Fast-hitting Delphox moveset definitely bailed out by perhaps a little too deep of a team build on the other side, but we will we'll take it there. All right. Game number 3. Battle against Bladudu. Let's get it. See what we're after. Right. Grimmsnarl, Basculegion, Charizard, Pelipper, Venusaur, and Artraludon. So this is the dual weather team that won the 2nd Grand Champions Encore Festival. I can't remember if it's Mega Venu, but I do obviously know it's Mega Charizard. Their speed floor is going to be the Grimmsnarl, and their ceiling is going to be not very fast. So this is actually a Decidueye game, which we like. We're going to go Kangaskhan Farig with, I think, AURORUS and Decidueye. We're going to leave Basculegion at home. Mouse Hold isn't necessary here. We're expecting Light Clay on the Grimmsnarl. Basculegion could be Life Orb, Mystic Water, Citrus Berry. It could be any number of items. Obviously, Megastone on Charizard. Could be Sash on either the Pelipper or the Venusaur. Could also be Life Orb on the Venusaur or Citrus Berry on the Pelipper, and then potentially leftovers on the Artraludon. Or almost certainly leftovers on the Artraludon, rather. So, see if we can keep our streak going. They're a little bit higher than us. And the lead is going to be Grimmsnarl, Pelipper. Okay. This works out okay for me. Grimmsnarl can go for Spirit Break, which we don't care about. He can set up screens, which is why we have the Psychic Fangs. Oh, for Farigiraf, I would probably expect Pelipper to either protect or switch. Honestly, is it crazy for me to... They have Intimidate or Ghost types. They do have Ghost types in Basculegion. I kind of don't care about that, though. I think I'm just going to Mega Evolve, fake out the Grim, get some chip into that, and go for Trick Room. I expect the Pelipper to want to switch potentially into an Artraludon here. Okay, so no switch, which means I'm risking a Hurricane full confusion, potentially. They could protect. If they protect, I would probably be inclined to believe that they're sashed. Fake Out comes out into Grimmsnarl. This is decent chip damage, which he can honestly be pretty annoying for the team to deal with. And they go for Hurricane into the Kang. That's fine. We take that reasonably well. Pelipper Hurricane in this game feels like it has about 100% confused chance, so that kind of makes some sense to me. And we will get our attack up. There. I'm happy to just double edge the Grim and go for Thunderbolt the Pelipper here. They could switch. I'm okay with that. They switch probably into Artraludon if I had to guess. It's Charizard. Oh, Charizard. Oh, okay. He nicknamed his Artraludon Charizard. So they will get the stamina boost, which is okay. We've got the Decidueye to hopefully crit through these boosts in the back once we get rid of the Grimmsnarl. I could have read this and doubled the Grimmsnarl. We hope to get this attack off. Nice. This is great damage. Beautiful. Artraludon will get his leftovers recovery back, which is fine. I will go... I'm hoping they knock me out here. I'm just going to double edge the Grimmsnarl slot. They could have Basculegion, but I'm almost certain they're going to have Charizard in the back. And then it's just a question of what do I click with the Farigiraf. think I'm happy to just Psychic Fangs to break the screens. Obviously, we're giving another boost to the Artralodon, but ultimately our goal is to either Helping Hand Earth Power it to KO or just crit through it with the Decidueye. So screens are broken, and assuming we don't get confused. Ooh, they E-Shot. They might actually just take the KO into my Kangaskhan, because we are faster than them. I would assume this knocks out from where we are. It's fine. So, what do we have? 2 turns of Trick Room left. The Grimmsnarl's at 17%. I assume, and I will calc, that a Farigiraf Thunderbolt, if they try to go for Spirit Break, will do 17%. It does, which means I'm happy to go Decidueye here. They're +1 on the Artralodon. They can't set up a screen to survive this Thunderbolt and attack my Decidueye, is what I'm thinking. And Farigiraf should always be faster than Grimmsnarl, so I'm happy to go for the Triple Arrows crit here and Thunderbolt into the Grimmsnarl, knowing that this should always KO. Oh, they're minimum speed. We do survive. They're speed tying my Farigiraf. Thunderbolt comes out. This did not KO. Wow. Okay, this is a very interesting turn. We need this to crit. And we don't. We do get the crit, but they survive. So this is a... These guys are EV'd very well. We do get the flinch, which is really, really, really good. What do I have in the back? Just AURORUS. That pair is actually really bad for me. I think I'm going to... Because they can KO my Decidueye always here. I can go for Protect to get around that. And Thunderbolt into Grimmsnarl, I think. I'm trying to think how I actually win. Because even if, like, we get this turn right, and we KO the... Yeah, they protect there. We KO the Grimmsnarl. It's 3v3, but they're at a speed advantage pretty majorly, so they get that call correct, which is pretty unfortunate. I could have just clicked Tailwind. Thunderbolt will come out, and it should be full percent. Okay. Pressuring another Trick Room is kind of the only good news I can think of. Pelipper comes out. Okay. So, I think the correct play from them is to double attack the Farigiraf to try to deny a Trick Room. Which means that I can switch an AURORUS to prevent a Stab Weather Ball and an Electro Shot and go for Trick Room. Oh, not helping you. Go for Trick Room. And hope that they just kind of throw the game. I think that if they just Dragon Pulse and Weather Ball double up the Farigiraf, it probably knocks out. And the game is just always over, but I think this gives me the best shot. They go for E-Shot, okay. Which means they can't protect next turn, so if they don't crit my Farigiraf or get a Hurricane full confusion, we are guaranteed a knockout into the Artralodon slot next turn. And Hurricane connects into AURORUS, but this is resisted. We don't want to see confusion. 100% confusion rate on Pelipper, of course. And Trick Room comes out. So we have to dodge the full confusion. Artralodon cannot switch, so as long as we do not get confused, it will be knocked out. And I'm expecting Charizard in the back, which means that Thunderbolt is always a pin in that slot. So we go for Earth Power into Arch, and Thunderbolt into Pelipper. They Wide Guard. That doesn't mean anything to me. I just need to dodge the confusion. AURORUS, please. You dodged the flinch last game. Please, Aurorus. Yes! Okay. Is it Sash on Pelipper? If it's like Citrus Berry, Pelipper, and Zard in the back, I think we've got this one locked up. Thunderbolt, are we Citrus? Oh, this doesn't even KO because we're like minus a billion from the Grimmsnarl Spirit Breaks. It was Citrus, but we took a Spirit Break or two. Who is it in the back? Should be Zard, I would think. It's Basque. That's also fine. They didn't bring a Mega, which is interesting, but I can just go for Freeze Dry into you. You could potentially be Focus Sashed, but I have the guy in the back and a whole lot of Trick Room turns. So I'm happy to Freeze Dry you and Thunderbolt you. These Citrus Berry Pelipers can almost never protect, so this is a guaranteed KO into Pelipper. And even if you're EV to survive a Freeze Dry, or even if you're Focus Sashed, then we just have two guys faster than you next turn. Snap out of the confusion, which is great. Good job, Aurorus. Beautiful one-hit knockout from the girl. And then I think Pelipper should clean up on... Or I think that Farigiraf should clean up on the Pelipper. Excuse me. Fun one. We kind of got a little bit of a messy mid-game there, just not knowing my speed interactions, not assuming that the Grimmsnarl would be minimum speed and speed tying. My Farigiraf definitely tripped me up, and then I guess just forgetting that I'm actually not Brave Nature on the Kangaskhan, so that the Artrelodon most of the time will underspeed me in Trick Room. That wasn't as big of a deal as the Spirit Break turn on the Grimmsnarl, though. I was correct to prioritize damage on that, but just I guess the Grimmsnarl had a little bit more special bulk than I had assumed originally, but happy with that. That was a good game, and our streak is ongoing, and yeah, let's get another one. I should have noticed on either the first or second turn of Trick Room in that battle that the Grimmsnarl actually won a speed tie the turn before I had commented on it, so I should have known going into that turn that it was a speed tie. I also just forgot that he had already gotten one Spirit Break into the Farigiraf, and that's why the Thunderbolt didn't KO, but that happens. This has been quite a popular team, covered by quite a few content creators and pro players and that sort of thing. It's a Y-Chu Staraptor dual mega with Sash Arcanine, Farigiraf, Sylveon, and King Gambit. So both megas can be pretty difficult to deal with. We've also got the Farigiraf that we kind of have to navigate as well. Normally I see Farigiraf and I want to lead my Maushold, but it kind of just gets one-shot by both megas here. So I'm honestly wondering if that's okay, though. We haven't got to bring the Maushold yet, so I kind of want to try it. I'll just bring the mouse Farig, and we might just end up follow-meing and dying with the Maushold. And then their speed floor is King Gambit Sylveon, so we have to have Aurorus for both of those. And their ceiling is all the way up there with Staraptor and Y-Chu, sorry. And Decidueye is also just weak to Sylveon, so I think I go Bastille Legion here. If they just lead Farig plus a Mega Evolution, Maushold is just going to have to go down. And then we're going to have to make the 50-50 call on whether or not they are going to click Trick Room. Let's see, Y-Chu Staraptor. So they can only Mega one of these, which is really interesting to me. They get an Intimidate down into Maushold. I'm wondering... So I'm expecting a fighting move of some kind to go into the Maushold here, for sure. I'm wondering if they ever just double the Maushold slot and I can, like, preserve him. No, I think it's just fine to go follow me in Trick Room and let the mouse go down. I would expect if you're bringing both, we don't have, like, electric moves or anything. So I would expect if you're bringing both Mons to be Megaing the Y-Chu, yeah. So they're just using Staraptor as like a Blast Respects immunity and an Intimidate Pokemon, which is honestly pretty annoying for my team. I think that's well played. We're just gonna go follow me, and their Focus Blast will knock us out. They go for Zap Cannon. Did we win one of these? We do. Got a little bit of bulk on our Y-Chu, which is nice. Hopefully they're going for an attack here. Beautiful! So Mousehold, thank you for your sacrifice. You have awarded us a lot of turns of Trick Room to be able to play with a sweeper. I want to calc on the bulky Y-Chus that these teams usually use. Does a Helping Hand Blizzard KO? 167. It is a roll on max HP bulky Y-Chu. Would also just go Bask and knock it out immediately. And not risk the roll. Because the Staraptor's -1, Thunderbolt is doing pretty significant damage into it. They don't have a Wave Crash switch in at all. I'm happy to just Wave Crash. Do I even have to Wave Crash, or can I last? No, because of Kingambit, I think I'm supposed to Wave Crash here. And then just go for Thunderbolt into the Staraptor, which should do decent damage. It's not Mega'd. Yeah, they switch. This is likely Kingambit. It's Farigiraf. Okay. I'm okay with that. And they protect. Switch Protect's a good play. I had considered pivoting in the AURORUS here, but I was a little bit scared of them just ripping a CC into my Farigiraf. Obviously, hindsight, it would have been better to get the momentum. This is great damage into Farig. Oh my god. A lot of damage into Farig. We'll proc Citrus Berry. Which is good. We are forced to attack into that slot or risk, obviously a Trick Room going up. Curious how much Thunderbolt actually will do to the Staraptor. Probably not that much. Like, probably not enough, if I had to guess. Let me go for Rig. Was Colbleberry, they are -1, Spit Death. It actually can KO. Which means that I'm happy to Wave Crash here to prevent them going for Trick Room. And then I think I'm going to switch the AURORUS out. I don't think they should just give me Staraptor here. Farigiraf will be fastest, so its switch should come first. This is going to be a big turn if we see a Staraptor switch or not. They do switch. They want to preserve Intimidate for Basculegion, which I think makes a lot of sense. Kingambit comes out. A Psychic, my Bask. Wave Crash should not knock myself out, which is nice. But I think they've positioned this quite well. I don't think I have anything for this Kingambit. Because I just get knocked out by an Iron Head or a Low Kick if they have it. They have Y-Chu, which is obviously great for them. So I'm forced to switch into Farig. And I think I have to play for a Blizzard Freeze is my only out. Both mons are threatening a knockout into AURORUS. We're hoping to catch like double priority move, like a mistake for my opponent. There's one priority move I'd love to see, like Sucker Punch or Kowtow Cleave even. Blizzard comes out, we're faster than Kingambit, so they are Kowtowing. If I freeze, we're not out of it. Freeze on Kingambit. Freeze on Y-Chu. And I'm hoping to see Kowtow into Bask. Kowtow Cleave into, it was the Bask slot. That's something. Farigiraf. Okay. That's Life Orb Kingambit. Life Orb Kingambit. One turn of Trick Room left. Raichu's frozen. Does AURORUS pick up this knockout with just regular old Earth Power? It does. So I can Earth Power the Kingambit slot. And go for Psychic Fangs into Raichu. Yeah, we Psychic Fangs the Raichu, which I think should knock out. Kingambit protects. That's a great play. Raichu stays frozen. He was going for Protect as well. Psychic Fangs comes out. Beautiful. The problem here is we know King Gambit is faster than me. And he can always kowtow cleave into my Farigiraf, and then the Staraptor can always close combat into my Aurorus. And I don't have any play for that. I don't survive another kowtow with my Farigiraf. So the only play is we hope that we're speed tying with King Gambit now because they just CC the Aurorus slot, actually. We click Trick Room. We go for Blizzard Hacks, I think. I think they should just win with CC into kowtow. We survive. Do we win a speed tie? A potential speed tie? Shout out the Ice-type defense boost. If we freeze King Gambit here, we may have squeaked this one out. Freeze, 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 freeze. Freeze, please. You've been so good. 1 in 10 chance. We died a life orb, unfortunately. Otherwise, we would have won. Oh, no. That's too bad. Good games. That's a good game. Okay. And then they obviously just have Sucker Punch here. And can always beat us. We can go for Protect to try to make it a little bit of a mind game. Right, it's technically not over. They have all 8 Sucker Punches. There's one. We can go for Agility here. The Sucker Punch, there's 2. Okay. I'm happy to go for Protect here. This is a free Protect. We'll see what they click. I don't think we're going to attempt to actually stall out all 8 Sucker Punches. They go for Sucker Punch again. And then I think we Agility one more time. Sucker Punch, okay. That's 4. And now I think we lock the Wave Crash here, because it's a free Protect. They might think they want to conserve Sucker Punch PP, so we go for Wave Crash here. They're thinking about it. Oh my gosh, we got him! Let's go! Okay, definitely a scary matchup. Masky Legion will knock himself out in the process, but because King Gambit goes down first, we will get the game. Good games to Ant. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Oh my gosh. And with that, the win streak continues. We are now top 20,000 in the world, and I guess we have to keep going till we lose. So I will see y'all here in another game. I lied. I would love, honestly, to keep going and record some more games, but I took a look and I saw that we're already pushing almost 50 minutes on the video timer, and I just thought that there's not that many people want to see me talk or play Pokemon for longer than 50 minutes, and so I will wrap it up there. If you guys are interested in seeing some more games, either on the ranked ladder or in me potentially entering a tournament with this team, please let me know in the comments. And if enough folks really want to see it, I'm absolutely happy to. Because honestly, I had fun with the team, so I'll just kind of reflect on it a little bit and let you guys get out of here. As far as Wifemon's teams go, this is far from the hardest challenge I've done. I think back to like Sunflora back in Regulation F of Scarlet and Violet, and some other kind of disastrous teams we've tried to build around. And honestly, Aurora's put in a lot of work in these games and in testing. I do think that The offensive coverage it provides is pretty unique in the format and actually quite well positioned. I also think that, with the trend towards Y-Chu Staraptor and then the continued dominance of like the big six archetype and Charizard, excuse me, Aerodactyl and all those teams that underspeeding everything except like min speed King Gambit, and then having a combination of Ice Rock and ground coverage is pretty strong. And being able to sub Trick Room and do a lot of common teams feels pretty good. There is a chance that that's just like bad Pokemon player um, discovers hard Trick Room on ladder. Like that could totally be what's happening here. But it definitely felt like um, I had tools to win every matchup, even in practice, and then obviously in the games today. It wasn't always super clean, when you play hyper offensive teams, whether it's on the Trick Room spectrum or on the Tailwind spectrum, you do have to make some calls, and we did have to do that today. But um, overall, it felt good. Aurora's put in a lot of work. Every mon came to a battle, and yeah. Um, I think that's all there is to say. Sad that the agility and tailwind techs at the end of Trick Room didn't get to come out in these battles. They did come out in testing though, and I do feel confident that those are the correct move choices. Maybe you could argue one of those moves is supposed to be like a priority move. Like we could also add Sucker Punch to the Decidueye as well as Kangaskhan, or potentially have Aqua Jet on Basculegion, which maybe could have been nice in some of those end games. But um, otherwise, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. And let me know. Um, let me know feedback on the video. I've never done this before, and yeah, thank you so much.